speculated about this morning on Coffee and Crypto. We actually gave kind of a short-term and long-term prediction after hearing not just what the announcement is, 50 basis points, the thinking that is coming out. I actually have a completely different thought than what was posted on Coffee and Crypto. I actually think that this could actually be short-term semi-bullish, but not a lot. Again, it's what people expected. The price had kind of been baked in already with the dip. It's going to climb back up, but it's not going to do it at a significant level. And we're going to continue to be drugged down the road month by month. And he kind of hinted at, okay, well, we won't have an aggressive one next month or maybe a month after that. So here's what's going to happen. When eventually, because this is not going to curb inflation. Inflation is going to keep rising. So like I said, things like Bitcoin should be attractive. Things in crypto should be attractive. It's still kicking the can down the road. And while his words out of his mouth are, we're doing everything we can, that is not true. They are not doing everything they can. They don't want people to be upset with them who don't fully understand how this works. I actually, again, if there had been different reason and different rationale and different thinking that he had come up with, might have said, okay, I understand why they're going light this time. But his even kind of confession of it wasn't on the table this time. And unless something crazy happens, which, what's their definition is up to them. It's not up to us. It's not even on the table for next month. Low-key, I want to see how the market responds over the next couple hours, next couple of days. I do not like that rationale. I don't like that reason. Not that I should really be that surprised because, as we talked about this morning, every single time they have gone with the more easy way, more this is going to get us better attention publicity-wise, or they're going to make people think better of us. If we go too crazy far, people aren't going to like us. And unfortunately, he is right. Inflation is crippling to people. Not having stable prices is crippling to people. And what he's doing is not aggressive enough to fix it. So I want to hear what you guys think. I'll start with you, T-Shroom. What are your thoughts about what you heard in that announcement?
Well, he has such a calming and such a reaffirming way of speaking. It really makes you think that they do know what they're doing and everything's under control. But in the back of the closet there at the Fed, they've got $30 trillion of debt. We have $30 trillion of debt as a taxpayer. And it's unsettling for them to be so calm and so collected when we're in such a dire situation. But, that's just the way that the wheel keeps on turning. And do I wish that they'd done the triple rate hike? I do. I think that would have shown the market that they're serious about recovering and they're serious about getting inflation under control in a real way. But what's easier to do is when asked the question, like Jerome was just asked, like, what do you say to poor people who have, bananas and bread that are way more expensive? He just said, well, you're going to have to endure it. But it says it in such a comforting way that it's like, okay, well, we'll just endure it and everything will be okay. So I don't know. We'll see.
No, I mean, he is saying what he needs to say and saying it in a way that he wants to say it so that people who don't know what's happening will think that this is okay and this is actually a good decision. But I can't remember exactly what it was, but the fact that he said they weren't even considering, what was it? There was a point someone asked and he's like, well, that's not really one of our considerations. Like, well, that absolutely should be one of your considerations. The entire economic state of the country and of the dollar should be under your considerations. And then for you to say, well, we want to address something, but we don't have a goal in mind. I'm not saying you have to pinpoint it to the exact metric, but to not even have a goal. So you're kind of giving yourself an out down the road that if it gets a smidgen of a bit better, well, then technically all you said was we want to make progress. And it's not really actually fixing anything. It's still getting worse. Inflation's still getting worse. But technically speaking, you said, well, that's a win because it got slightly better in that particular area. This is, man. Yeah. Again, this is going to impact. I didn't watch the other ones. I'm really glad we're doing this. We're going to do this now month to month, live watch his rationale, his reasoning for his answers because it gets a lot deeper. I think it's if people just listen to the number and not the reason, the rationale, the why, they're missing out on a lot of what they should be understanding about this. And again, I would have, if there was different reasoning, if he had come out with more numbers, if he had come out with more rationale, if he had even said, hey, we addressed it, we looked at it, we honestly believe this month it just needs 50, but hey, if this doesn't work well, next month we'll go to 75, I might have been like, hey, this could have been a good announcement. But the fact that, like I said, he didn't say these words exactly, but he meant this is what he was trying to say is that, no, we're not going to 75. That's too aggressive. That's too much. He even almost addressed it as if in his mind there's a chance that we'll be good to go back to 25 basis points next month, that's ridiculous. It's not going to work. Inflation's going to keep going up. And again, if you go to my chart real quick, Smay, this morning, what we kind of discussed with the potential, again, predicting we were going to see 75 because we thought Powell would actually do his job and do what he needs to do to, in his words, do everything they can to curb inflation. We thought there was going to be a hawkish news. We thought the price might come down even as far as 32, but then there could be a spring that sends us back up. Unfortunately, what he just said, more than likely, instead of seeing that type of price action, I want to fix my screen so I can draw this correctly. Low key, I actually kind of wonder if we're going to see some of this. We're going to see some bouncing between these two levels. We might even get people feeling good because we start to creep into the mid 40s, maybe even get up high as 50. And then what's going to happen is finally they're going to have to do something horrible, or it's just they're going to have to finally have that pain. I still think 30s, low 30s are in the cards. The question is when. Unless something different happens, it's going to be a little bit more time than we would like. Again, the reason why we wish that it happened now is because the sooner we come down to these levels, the sooner we deal with the max pain, the sooner we deal with inflation and then set up the situation that the institutions wants, the whales wants. We get retail investors back to stability, price action. And, as he said it over and over again, one of his issues is he wants to work on supply and demand. As soon as we fix those things, then we can go up. If we can do this and come down sooner, we'll get up sooner. But the longer we put off, and if we go out to the weekly chart, if we just keep dabbling this is where Novogratz talked about this. Novogratz predicted the rest of 2022 we could stay between 30,000, 50,000. Unfortunately, that's actually very realistic. We might be seeing this happen the rest of the year and stay sideways in this little angle, just capitulating and moving sideways because Powell and the rest of the Fed doesn't have the bravery and there's lots of words you could use there to do what they actually need to do. But they're good politicians, and you guys are saying that in chat. They are good politicians. Like you said, T-Shroom, he is very calming, very soothing. They chose the right actor to go out on stage and to present their notes, but they didn't choose the right decision makers. So
yeah. So you might be asking yourself, then why is the market pumping? The NASDAQ up quite a bit here, up more than 3%. Bitcoin also doing well on the day for sure. I think that the reason why you're seeing green candlesticks pointing towards the sky here is because there's just generally more certainty now, right? A few hours ago, before we got the numbers, there was a lot of uncertainty as to which way the direction of the economy was going to be going, whether or not investors should be risk on or risk off. Well, the more information that we get, and the federal fund rate is a big piece of information in the calculus of investors. Now we have that, and now they can plug that into their calculations and say, okay, I can allot this much of my investment budget to XYZ, whatever it is. And that's why you're starting to see more than likely this money is flowing in because it's wanted to flow in, but it just needs certainty that either the federal fund rate's not going to go down or that it's not going to go precipitously up. They needed some certainty. So whether it's up or down, folks have their preferences, and so now they know that their preferences have either been met or they have been under met, and so they're choosing what they were already going to do at this point in time, and that's why you're seeing kind of a spring into action, a lot of pent up movement now being released, and you're also seeing high volumes. If you're still looking at my chart, you're also seeing higher volumes than usual, especially on the NASDAQ. It's pretty intense down here. Bitcoin has had definitely more volume in the last few minutes, but it also had some pretty high volume yesterday at close as well. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic. I'm definitely liking the way that the stock market and Bitcoin is taking this in stride. I'm also liking what I'm seeing on the Cardano chart over here as well. I've just got it online because it doesn't look very good with the candlesticks. But that looks a little better.
So do you feel, because my take is more of a long-term look. Like I said, I actually think that we could see another $50,000 Bitcoin semi-soon, especially with kind of this almost protection of saying you don't have to worry about a significant hike for the next at least 2 months. That's going to buy investors and traders some time to continue to pick up supply and raise it, but it will not hit a new all-time high. So when you say you're optimistic, because if we're looking at the 15-minute chart, or if I'm looking at the hourly chart, I am optimistic. I do think that in the short time frame that Bitcoin price will go up. But here is the problem. too many people will accept short-term small gains. And what I mean by that is a lot of people almost act as if you told them, hey, I'll raise Bitcoin by 20% right now, and you can make 20% gains, or you wait a year and I'll raise it by 300%. I think people would like to say they'd choose 300 in a year, but in reality, the way they make decisions, the way they act, the way their brain operates, they internally actually would prefer the immediate 20% gain. And so, yes, short term, maybe even the next couple of months, next 2 months, we might actually see some bullish movement as we slowly but surely climb back up to 50. But then there's going to be pressure because there's still the unknown. There's still a lot of things happening there. The retail is still going to be flooded out of the market because they don't have the money. Inflation's going to still climb, and people are going to have to worry about, as much as I want to keep my money in Bitcoin because I believe in its future, I don't have the dollars in my account to pay my bills. I have to liquidate crypto to pay for my mortgage, to pay for my rent, to pay for my groceries, to pay for these things because inflation's not stopping. You're telling me you're going to trade Bitcoin getting to 50,000 here in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks for a longevity of gas prices going up and grocery bills going up and rent going up. And, right now, like, good for him. Like, people are saying, I have friends that are buying houses right now. That's something my wife and I are looking at. But as he just said, those mortgages are going to keep going up. It's not going to be a good time to buy housing, but rent's going to go up as well. And there's always that dynamic that you're kind of splitting yourself in. It's like, man, even though technically rent, I have to put less money down and I can get away with it lower, I'm effectively flushing that money down the toilet. I'm not investing anything versus if I get a mortgage, even though that costs money and even I'll have to pay it, at least I'm kind of paying myself and I'm investing into something. But then with this dynamic, that becomes less an option. I think people are internally who are super excited about the short-term pump are disregarding all of that information. Whereas if we went ahead and allowed that max pain to happen right now, if we allowed that inflation to get under control more quickly within the next couple of months, and again, that would still be hard, but at least we should try, and then Bitcoin goes down and things get a little hard, but it gets better sooner, and then the rally happens sooner, I think people are looking at instant gratification a lot more than they're looking at delayed gratification.
Yeah,
you can go off
definitely.
My screen.
Well, super chats or anything like that?
I saw one earlier, but it was more like just thinking and saying that there. If I scroll, I might be able to find it. I didn't record it. This wasn't a stream we were thinking. Again, we're going to be doing these every single month, and you'll probably see a lot more of these. Anytime there's a big announcement coming out, we're going to do a much better job of going live, giving you guys updates, what is happening. Are there any other thoughts or anything you guys saw in chat that we should discuss? Or is it time we're going to wrap this out?
I want to hear what Smay has to say, but if you go to my screen really quick, these are the next couple meetings that are coming up from the Federal Reserve when they're doing more of these rate decisions. So the next one will be June 15th, followed by July 27th, followed by September 21st, and then the 2nd of November and the 14th of December. So it's not every single month, but it's almost every month. So we've got 5 more left in the year.
All right. So my thoughts are, ultimately, I found it really interesting. And I kind of was on the same wavelength as T-Shum when I was listening to it. It was almost like this really interesting, sobering almost like way that he was kind of talking about it as if it was like, yeah, we got it, man. I understand. You just got to understand. We've been through it. I laughed internally because he was like, I'm old enough to know what hyperinflation looks like. And it was bad. I'm like,
that was funny.
And I'm just thinking about it and I'm like, it's not like, I think what they're kidding themselves is that they think it's going to get better, but it's not that it's getting better. It's that they just keep, it's almost like they keep slowing it down and then it still gets ahead of them eventually. It's not like it's not like things are going to get cheaper again. And the fact is you go from 100 years ago to now, the dollar is lost so much of its value and they've done all kinds of these shenanigans and it's never gotten better, right? They've only been able to slow it down. I'm not batting an eye at what he's saying at all. I think at the end of the day, especially the way he kind of tried to avoid even the way the lady was like, so what can people expect? How is this going to affect the average Joe? He's like, well, it's going to hurt, but you'll be all right because it's for the greater good. And it's like, at the end of the day, that's what we've been getting fed as a people for so long. How long can we continue to just go to sleep at night with that narrative in our heads? Obviously, it's not true. So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I think this to me overall, more than just what's happening this month, is proof that Bitcoin is so powerful and so necessary, because the greater good, they don't have it in mind. So.
You know, here's the thing. I saw in chat, someone was like, well, you know, this is good for traders. You know, Tim, they're still traders to make money. Here's the thing. Volatility will be in the space now, whether we go up or down. So traders, you're actually good either way. Whether the price goes up, whether the price goes down, volatility will continue to exist. The marks will still be there to continue to show you tops and bottoms. And here's the thing. I'm not even necessarily upset about the price just staying neutral. If it stays neutral, that's fine. Again, gives you more time to buy supply. This is the reason I'm upset about this decision and the way it was done. A, Bitcoin's going to go up temporarily and then come back down. So you're not going to be making money in Bitcoin because there's going to be a lot of FUD and fear out there to keep it down. Also, economically, your US dollar is going to lose value. So the reason if you could tell me that this decision actually is going to fix inflation and is actually going to make things more affordable and is actually going to add value to you as an individual, but Bitcoin price is going to be suppressed for a little while longer, I'm fine. You know what? It gives me more time to turn that fiat into crypto, right? However, what I'm thinking about is the people who both are going to be struggling, because just because they're not buying more Bitcoin or more Cardano or more Ethereum doesn't mean that means they have enough money. They both won't be able to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano and invest in their future, and they'll still be struggling to pay their bills. This is a loss not just for Bitcoin long-term, but a loss for people's livelihoods long-term. This is not a responsible move, and especially, like I said, it isn't the 50 basis points. The 50 basis points are fine. It is the thinking that the Fed is using that they're keeping a foot in each camp because they're too scared to actually step out and do what they need to do. And that is to actually fix inflation. And like he said, we'll do everything we can to fix inflation. Again, no, they will not. They want to keep their publicity good. So what they're going to do is say what sounds good to make people calm down and maybe feel less anxious. Meanwhile, their dollar will continue to get obliterated, and their crypto holdings will probably have to liquidate to pay bills, or it won't go up either. So that's the reason why I do not like the decision. There's still money made. You're absolutely right. If you are a trader, volatility will still be there. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. That will always happen in crypto, in Bitcoin. But the question is actually improving your livelihood and improving your ability to spend and take care of your family, which again, money, both US dollar, the British pound, the yuan, Ethereum, Cardano, Bitcoin, no matter what it is simply a tool, a store of value to help you do what you're supposed to do. This is not a tool that's actually helping you do what you need to do. It's hindering. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Also, comment down below so we can continue to give you the best videos possible. Peace.